Okay, now to get to the question everybody wanted to know, are you allowed to take a suntan on Shabbos? Okay, it's a big problem in California. Are you allowed to take a suntan? So one thing is for sure, you can't, normally when you want to take a suntan, you put on suntan lotion. So that, the problem is most of it, if you have a spray, like a spray that just sprays suntan lotion, that's fine. But if you're doing a cream or a thicker lotion, then you can't, we learned you can't put on creams or lotions on Shabbos. So that you can't do. Now, is somebody allowed to take a suntan on Shabbos? So, like everything else, there's two opinions. Some opinions say you're allowed to, and other opinions say if your intention is to take a suntan, then you're not allowed to because you're basically coloring the skin. The other people say it's not really coloring the skin, it's not, just darkening it a little bit and things like that. So they want to say it's okay, but the truth is it's better to be machmer. But what happens if somebody has to take a long walk and they know they're going to get suntanned? That's definitely not a problem because that's not what you're intending to do. You're not sitting there to get suntan. But now they have sprays that give you a tan. Not the sun, whatever, I don't know what they call them. They have these places, the tanning places also. I'm saying now you can buy a spray or things like that give you a suntan. But that for sure you can't do on Shabbos because then you're mamish coloring your skin. It's not coming from the sun, I'm just laying in the sun and the sun is doing it. Here I'm mamish doing it, I'm putting this color, I'm mamish coloring my skin. So that would for sure wouldn't be allowed. Okay, so the next thing is like this. Okay, so we learned already wiping blood from a wound. Preferably you should use a disposable thing. If not, you should use a cloth preferable that's not the color of what you're wiping up. And if not, you can use anything. Okay, next is like this. There's something, what?
It shouldn't be the color of the thing you're wiping up. Isn't that less Shabbat Dyeing? If you're spilling, if there's something red and you red.
No, but then you're enhancing the color. Here, when it's a different color, you're ruining the color. But here you're enhancing the color. So it would be like if you have a yellow rag and you're wiping up blood, so you're going to ruin the yellow. But if it's a red, like the color of blood, so then you're not ruining it, you're enhancing it. But again, we learned if you have nothing else, you're allowed to use it. So they have now photogray lenses. Lenses, you walk in the sun, it darkens. You walk into the house, it turns undarkens, right? So now are you allowed to wear those on Shabbos? So basically everybody says you're allowed to wear it on Shabbos because you're not really doing anything. They say even if there's something in the lens that makes it go like that, so it's like something covering the lens. But you're not actually coloring the lens. It goes in and out. It's like this. If somebody pinches their skin, it's going to become red. But that's not called dyeing your skin, because in a second it's not there anymore. So the same thing with the photograph. The bottom line is everybody says the photograph lens you're allowed to use. What?
I think getting tan under the sun is much less, it's much more elusive, than I got, than this glasses example.
No, but the glasses, you're not coloring anything. Sun tanning, you're getting color in your skin, a darker color.
You're getting vitamin D.
What?
You're standing, you're not really doing it. You're standing in the sun. You're getting vitamin D.
If it's rain, let me ask you a question. If it's raining outside, can I take an article of clothing and just put it out in the sun, in the rain? I'm not doing anything. The rain is cleaning it, not me. Am I allowed to do that? Why? Because I'm putting something there to get washed by the rain. I might not be pouring the water, but I'm doing an act of putting it out there in the rain. By the way, if you had a clothing outside, and then it started raining, before Shabbos you had a piece of clothing outside hanging, and then it starts raining on Shabbos. Okay? So do I have an obligation to take it in because it might get washed? No, because I'm not doing anything on Shabbos. I put it out there before Shabbos. It's raining, I didn't make the rain, I didn't do any action whatsoever. So now that's happening by itself, that I don't have to do. But to put out, to sit in the sun, let's put it this way. If you sit before Shabbos, you go out into the backyard, and you lay overnight, and then in the morning you lay a whole day on the couch, in the lawn chair, in the sun, then you don't, that's fine. But you can't go sit down, go according to those opinions, say you're not allowed to. What?
Based on that, I can't just, if I wanted to show someone how my glasses work, I can't just show them. I would have to be using it then. Otherwise, I'm doing it for the sake of changing the...
Yeah, then you would have to just wear it.
I wouldn't...
But why would you have to take it off? Or you just wear it and show the guy. Then you're not doing anything.
Say, go take it outside. I'm not going. You do it.
No, that you shouldn't do, Mr. Amma.
And then also, what about these toys that if you put it in water, they turn one color, and then when you take it out, it goes back to the original color?
That's a shot in halacha. A lot of poskim hold. They talk about those toys. One second. A lot of poskim hold. You can't do it. You're not allowed to do it.
Why?
Because you're doing it for the coloring of it. Even by the photograph, you're not doing it for the lenses to become colored. You're doing it that it shouldn't, the sun shouldn't hurt your eyes. Here you're doing it, the game is that it gets colored. So you're doing an active coloring. It's intentional coloring.
So then also, can I make myself get a red face? If a kid's playing a game, they want to get their face red. Is that an act?
How are they going to do it?
They're going to run around a few times.
That's not, you're not doing anything.
But if you're
It's
doing
like walking in the sun that you get a suntan.
But you're saying if you're doing it for the sake of making the change in color, then it's an issue. If you're doing it for the sake of whatever, you're living life, then that's fine. But if you're doing it for the sake of changing color, you wouldn't be able to do it. Correct. So these kids, if they're playing a game, they want to just see...
But the game is running around. They're not doing the whole thing.
Get
Just
their face red more.
That's why they're doing it.
Yeah.
It's not
You
an
wouldn't
issue.
be able to do something like that.
That you could do.
You could do that.
That, yeah, but because they're playing a game. What?
What if your intention is not to get a sound, just want to lay out on the sound?
Then you'd be allowed to. Then you'd be allowed to. What?
Well, meaning, are you allowed to swimming on Shabbos? Or stretching?
Stretching?
Stretches.
What does that have to do with coloring? You're not allowed to swim on Shabbos or Yom Tov. 1 second. You're not allowed to swim Shabbos or Yom Tov, period. No. It's again, it's not, even in cold water, you're not allowed to. I had a question people do. I mean, that doesn't mean you're allowed to. And stretching, if you're doing it for exercises, you're also not allowed to do it for exercise. If you have a stiff back and you're going like this, to ease the back, that yeah, but if there's not, then you're not doing it for medical purposes, you're doing it to ease the back. But if somebody does a regimen of exercises, on Shabbos you're not allowed to exercise.
What if you don't break into a sweat?
Again, it's because the exercises themselves should not be done on Shabbos.
Some people wake up and they feel always stiff, unless they're doing something.
Okay, if they're stiff and they want to move around a little bit just to unstiff, but they're not doing a l'shem exercise. L'shem exercise means you're doing a medical thing. But it's time to loosen up. That's to push it that it shouldn't hurt when you walk around.
Like tying a rubber band on the finger to see if it turn purple.
Again, coloring, the skin coloring, that it changes by itself. Again, if you go like this, okay, and your skin's going to be red,
That's fine.
why is it fine?
Because it's part of you.
Right. You take a rubber band and put it around your finger. What's that different than doing this?
So then the sun is all it's doing is just shining.
But you're sitting down in the sun to get colored.
And I'm tying the rubber band on my finger to make it purple.
The person needs a doctor, not a...
No, I'm saying
What would
people do. I mean, kids do it. I mean, that's the thing that kids do. They
First of all, if you speak to any doctor, I don't think it's a good idea to
You're
stop
right,
the
but
band.
I'm saying that it's a fact. That kids
If they're doing it mamish to colored, maybe they shouldn't. Maybe they shouldn't. But it's not even, as soon as you take off the band, it goes back. Okay, next. Okay, polishing shoes you're not allowed to do. Making coffee, we learned that you're allowed to do making coffee on Shabbos. According to all opinions, by the way, if you, the only question, remember we learned there's a machlekes if coloring applies to drinks or not. By food it doesn't apply. By drinks we learned, there are poskim that say it's a problem making colored drinks. But the halacha is not like that. Most people poskim that you're allowed to color even drinks. But even those people that say you're not allowed to color drinks, that's only if you have the water and then you put the coffee in. But what happens if I put the coffee at the bottom and then I add the water, then it's not coloring. It's not coloring the water, I'm just adding water. And here I'm putting, there's water and I'm putting color into the water. Here the color is there and just adding water, so I'm not coloring the water. It's like we learned with the wine, the white wine and the red wine. If you put in the red wine first and then add the white wine, for sure it's not an issue. Yeah.
Adding white to any color is by definition not coloring it.
White is also a color.
White is also color, so how come milk and pasta is okay?
I'm saying that's because if my food there's no coloring.
So if you hold that there's no coloring, there is coloring in liquid.
But even those people that say there's coloring by liquids, it's only water. Those people that say there's coloring, they write clearly, it's only by water. I'm not elaborating because we don't pass like that anyway. But if you have coffee and then you add milk, even they would hold you're allowed to, because it's not water, it's coffee. Even though halachically coffee is water, but it's still not what?
The Kohen Gadol puts the red string on the goat and it turns color. Is that undoing the color, the red string on the goats?
And how did they shecht animals in Yom Kippur? Because it's the same thing. The next halacha we're going to talk a little bit about shechita, by the way, which is a very practical din today. I mean, we're not talking about, nobody here is going to shecht, but shechita is the killing any animal is shechita. Okay, we'll get into the details. But what they did in the Bais Din for Shabbos or Yom Kippur, those are things that the Torah says you have to do on Shabbos, you have to do on Yom Kippur. So the same Torah that says don't do shechita on Shabbos says in the Bais Din you have to do shechita or Yom Kippur with the Azazel and all that. But l'mashal, you can't bring a voluntary korban on Shabbos. Somebody wanted to give a gift, the korban to the Bais Din, right? Or they had to bring a sin offering, or whatever type of korban, not the communal korbanos. You're not allowed to bring it on Shabbos because it's desecration of Shabbos. So that you wouldn't be allowed to do.
The laws we learn about Shabbat is from the Mishkan, but they did we can't.
In the preparation for the Mishkan. Yeah. Okay.